the original work of the autobiographical novel 10 Years of Marriage by Su Qing, a female writer in the Republic of China. Chapter 10 Mo Lincoln. The spring breeze blew open the peach and plum blossoms. Me mood is still so depressed, burning in every possible way, especially after taking a nap for a long time. Wake up at dusk. The room was quiet. There is an indescribable feeling of loneliness. Think about what life is all about. To eat. Now my eating problem has been solved. Yet still not satisfied. Feel empty back when the economy was in dire straits. Just want to make money. Have no plans for other spiritual life or anything like that. In a hurry, tired to death every day, just get a chance to rest. Satisfaction. Now I am so bored at it because I feel full and warm. I just want someone to accompany me, share my worries, share my happiness. But there is no man in the world who belongs to me. Also often come to talk with me, drink coffee together. Sometimes he invites me to the theater and the result will inevitably be different. They stay away, you'll go home and rest. They have wives and children, a small, warm home. Even if you are very close to Meho, could they give up the small family they had built? They told me there was no way, no ways, nor though could Sean find a way to break up this family with me. I hate them, hate all men. They refuse to abandon their homie. At least you won't abandon it for me, my such a worthless woman, not worth fighting for. If I were a 17 or 18-year-old girl, innocence is not Euglin, neither Marietti have a lot of opportunities. First, in terms of Aggie can marry a 20-year-old, you can also marry a middle-aged man in his 30s or 40s. C can even save an old man in his 50s or 60s. But now my targets have decuriosity, have to shave off my under 30, specialized in teams around 40 years old, looking for a man around 40 years old. Will I still have no home? He refuses to divorce me. I want to marry him. He could only hope that his wife would die soon. His wife is dead. There are children, so annoying. And a woman waits for the death of another woman that's not sure. I don't know what year, month and day it will take to realize it. If she died, and I'm older, two will men still be willing to marry me at that time? No, I can't be that stupid. Need to find a ready-made one. However, there are so few ready-made official uniforms. Among the friends I know in Li Zhuguanla, recently I heard that he is getting engaged to the dean's daughter. Hey, if a man has a little status, widows in middle age are more popular than young people who are unmarried. But what about women? Sean is 2 years older than Menno. We are divorced. He could easily find a woman 10 years younger than Mebut. I can only find men who are 10 years older than him, and it's not easy because a man 10 years older than him in principle. I still want to marry a woman 10 years younger than me. Oh my god, no wonder there are many Xavier Wivesi would rather keep my status and be a widow than die. Nor are they willing to abandon their children and get divorced. Hat makes sense, and not being thorough also has its advantages. I was wrong and I suffered a loss, and I have no place to complain. How could I publicly declare to others that I could not find a young husband at the moment? The next best think value of a man lies far beyond his youth. He need to find someone with status. However, how can a person with status be willing to marry a remarried woman? Maybe he'll be nice to me, good with me, but don't propose to me. I'm disappointed. All I can say is that he is the husband I never wanted to marry. Where can I treat my wife sincerely? I'd rather play nonsense if that's men playing. However, in good conscience, do I really want to play with men? It is impossible for a woman to play with a man, must also want to play with you. Therefore, take advantage of the plani, show kindness to a man. It was always wishful thinking at first. Take off for life. I need to give some color to my former husband. Well, don't. I have a better spouse than you now. However, in fact, good is good. Unfortunately, the other party refuses to be my spouse. I found myself being deceived, not being bullied by the other party, but my own hopes are too extravagant. Lied to myself. Did the other party propose to me? I feel mixed with regret but refuse to say it, look down on the other party. So I had to hold back my tears and say yes. I was just playing with you. If both parties admit that they are playing from now on, no one will have to take responsibility for anyone. As a result, women suffer morally. Now do I admire the happy woman's blackmailing methods, no love played with by others. There can also be monetary compensation. I can always take some comfort in my heart. Unfortunately, I am a woman from a good family. People are embarrassed to give money, not even given, but there is still no love. Where is my gain? In a noble name. Can people believe that you are really noble? I thought again people are willing to pursue me. Maybe it's because I'm noble and don't have to spend money. Even if it costs money, I might rather pursue the red dancer. Think of Thesey, can't help but feel angry and embarrassed. I grab your hair hearty, wish I could destroy myself immediately. Want to die. However, one must die vigorously. Want to become famous first and die again. So I rush to write about the waning moon day and night. Sometimes I write 4 to 5,000 words a day, sometimes less at most. I have written more than 10,000 words in one sitting. I'm not trying to show off my genius, just sad in my heart, cut off the pen. It's as if I can't stand it. Anna Marie, happily write about my life experience, tell the woman's pain word by word. Sometimes I regret that all the adjectives are not enough to apply. It is difficult to describe the situation. When I felt I was thinking Anxiosliamos forgot his own existence. No to write this book in no way to honor the hypocritical society. Told the truth, men will call women shameless, women will never admit it. It's shameless to say it's just the author, but why should I care about them? I just say what I have to say, write the story I want to write, spoken and writtenism willing to debook publish me. Hard work was finally not in vain, printed 3 times in a row. There is still an endless stream of people wanting to buy. Some readers came from far away. The reason is just to ask for my autograph. Some people read my novels as textbooks, punctuate every word. The cover is wrapped in craft paper, afraid of blowing off the color. If you encounter any words you don't understand, use a Yang Chao pad to pick them out and write to me asking for advice. I excitedly explained them one by one. Letters flew in like snowflake. He was so moved that I almost cried. The thought of hiding it was naturally given up. This continues until a certain period of time. I'm getting tired of it again. I'm afraid of hearing highbrow words. And I do believe that most readers follow blindly. They won't understand my benefit. Some junior high school girls came to my place persuading me to pick up the memorial album. I flipped through their brochures. Most of the above are about wishing you a bright future, or wishing you as beautiful as an angel, as smart as ice and snow, etc. I just frowned silently, wrote an article about things through the ages, good quotes about gains and low cessy. Hate it when a picture of so-and-so, a schoolgirl, is waiting for her signature in a certain schoolie. Just quickly wrote my pen name. No title call or sign. The inscription, however, they all took it with a smile. Like surrounding 3rd and 4th-rate movie stars, they also looked at me and knew. I asked them if there were any other incidents. They all turned around, turned red. Looks like he's running away. Only one girl with a pointed chin replied seriously, saying that we admire Mr. Su's article very much. So I came here specially to visit the stories in Waning Moon. True. Very well, Riteni jokingly asked. Where are you? They can't fight it out for a while. Only a little girl of 11 or 12 years old, with a round face, said, I like to read stories about ghosts hanging in sedan chairs. The real Mr. Su, have you ever seen a hanged man in a sedan chair? I asked this question to the point where I was dumbfounded. After a long while, I had fun with her again and said that there is another paragraph in my novel that describes a woman giving birth to a child. Do you think so too? She answered honestly and uninhibitedly, I don't know. Then he said that my mother was right. She also read this book, said, it does hurt when a woman gives birth. He couldn't help but laugh, joyful, yet lonely. But soon he finally met someone who understands me, called Tan Weiming. His face is thin, brain is very big, skin is bronzed, hair as unkempt as dead grass, is a typical example of a slovenly, talented person. However, he is surprisingly smart, be knowledgeable and versatile and know everything about socioeconomics, literature, art, etc. This makes me shocked by his wisdom. Willingly convinced, head comes to my house every day, sit till midnight, strong tea, juice, a strong cigarette smell make both of them excited and forget their tiredness. Pan Zimai sometimes came to see me. I met Tan Weiming sitting there. I introduced them. They chatted for a few words. They felt that they were incompatible. Pan Zimai had to just give a perfunctory reply. Tan Weiming was simply indifferent. One night, I was sitting on the sofa reading a newspaper. Suddenly, I heard a knock on the door. I knew it was Tan Weiming, so I combed my hair in the mirror and went over. I opened the door. The first guest to come in was Pan Zimai. He stopped me with a smile and said there was another guest outside the door. Guess who it was? I thought to myself, is it another coincidence? Did Tan Weiming meet him at the door? But he only said, I can't guess. Please come in quickly. The guest came in a leisurely manner. When I carefully identified him, it turned out to be Lu Qing, who suddenly returned to China. I was so happy that I couldn't speak. I asked him if he had dinner. Lu Qing said that he didn't want to eat dinner. He just wanted to drink some wine. I hurriedly asked Zhao Ningbo to buy some wine. Let's talk about it. I felt full of spring. Tan Weiming came. Pan Zimai had met him before. She stood up and greeted him. I smiled and introduced Lu Qing that this was Mr. Tan. Lu Qing, I answered coldly, I know him. Then he continued to drink. I felt embarrassed, so I called Tan Weiming. Come and have some wine too. Tan Weiming sneered. You know I don't drink. Then he strode out, without even looking back. The three of us talked until late at night. According to Lu Sichen, Tan Weiming was a man with complicated relationships. His political tactics were unpredictable. Now he had nowhere to go, so he had to talk about his theory of artistic revolution. I said his knowledge was not bad. Lu Sichen laughed. What is he? He has no knowledge. He only knows some tricks of the underworld. He talks nonsense. He is just trying to fool you women. He drank several cups of wine and fell drunk on the chair. I panicked. Pan Zimai said that we should help him to bed and let him sleep for a while. He also asked Zhao Ningbo to move the leftovers. I took out a pack of rendan from the drawer and wanted to give it to Lu Sichen, but he fell into a deep sleep and had no consciousness. I had to take out a few pills and stuff them into his mouth. Thank God, he still knew how to chew. Pan Zimai said, I will go out to buy some fruit. I don't object to him going. There was no sound in the room. I couldn't help but get scared. Lu Sichen lay on his back on the bed, mumbling in his mouth, as if asking for something. I thought he was thirsty, so I leaned over to ask if he wanted some water. He suddenly stretched out his hand. He held my fingertips tightly and said, Tan Weiming is not a good person. You have to be careful of him. Don't be fooled. His voice was so sincere and gentle. I have to believe him. I smiled and nodded at him. He seemed very satisfied. He gently let go of my fingers and continued to narrate himself. Pan Zimai bought some fruit and came back to wake him up. Seeing that he was much more awake, then I handed the fruit to him to eat. Now I will take Sichen back. Pan Zimai said, we have to go to Nanjing tomorrow. I suddenly remembered my school days. I remembered Zuanwu Lake at night. I remembered the story of the two cherries. Vague thoughts of love emerged in my mind. Anyway, I have nothing to do. Let's go and play with them. I told them this idea. They naturally agreed. The next day we arrived in Nanjing. We stayed at the home of Lu Sichen's best friend, Zhou Lighting. Zhou is from the north. He is tall and has a solemn manner. He is a sincere gentleman. He is now Ren is the principal of a provincial school. We went to visit his school. It was huge. The buildings were neat. The students all wore uniforms. The discipline was very strict. Many innocent and lively girls heard us coming and surrounded us and asked us to sign. Lu Sichen hated this. He walked away. Pan Zimai wrote them down one by one and handed them back to them politely. The girls felt embarrassed and didn't thank him. They just stuck out their tongues and ran away. I stood by and was surrounded even more. I felt a little embarrassed, but I also felt a sense of self-aggrandizement. That night we asked to live in the school. Because Zhou Lighting was diligent, simple, filial, and managed his family. There were no servants at home. Mrs. Zhou was busy cooking. Although Zhaoyu could supervise the work, she was busy enough. We were embarrassed to disturb her. His home was next to the school, but we said that living in the school would give us more freedom. Zhou Lighting did not force us. He made a room for us and placed 3 small iron beds in a shape of a character. The bedding we used was borrowed from the students. A girl specifically wanted to lend me her pink, thin silk quilt. I had no choice but to accept it. Later, when we said goodbye, I asked Zhou Lighting to recite 2 copies of The Waning Moon on her behalf and signed her name. I heard that she was very happy after she got it. A naive and sensitive girl. We traveled together in Huhu Lake. The boat was light, and the moonlight was like water. We talked about ancient and modern times, China and foreign countries. We faced each other happily on the stone wall. Zhou Lighting said that the joy of friends sometimes surpasses that of husband and wife. Lu Sichen also agreed. Only Pan Zimai was like this. Friends are definitely not as good as husband and wife. The latter are one body. The former are just like ping. It is just a casual encounter, like water. How can we meet often? It is also said that there is absolutely no permanent friendship between men and women. At a certain stage, it will deteriorate. Otherwise, it will break and no longer exist. I said that I am an unusual woman. It is good to be friends with men, but it is not appropriate to be a couple or lover. Hey, I know I am a masculine woman, so I often suffer. Pan Zimai pondered and shook his head, and said that it is not true. You are a complete woman, but that is internal. The more successful you are in your career, the more lonely you will feel. Loneliness and emptiness. You often feel unsatisfied. Is that so? This dissatisfaction is not because you need a man who belongs to you, but you need a respectable object, so you can belong to him willingly. You are a woman who loves vanity very much. Su Qing. However, your vision is too high. Your own knowledge and insights are not bad, and you are also observant, so you are easy to look down on men. Yes, sometimes you may have a good impression of a man, but that is deceiving. It is not that the other party deceives you, but because you can't find a partner for a long time, you are anxious and randomly identify a person and fantasize about it. But you can't be too fantasizing like a poet, fantasizing for verip in your eyes and dream beautifully. You are practical, and the dream disappears. The true face of the man is also revealed to you. You can't tolerate if you. I Kinji am very worried about your future. Before I finished speaking, Lu Sichin waved her hand and said, "Don't be so mushy. Don't know love or not in my life." Zhang Tiany's novels often call love thoughty. Agree with it. It made Zhou Lighting laugh that night. We stayed in that guest room. After dinner, Zhou Lighting and his wife came to chat with us. We talked about the political corruption here, but the world is full of corruption. It is the same everywhere. It is said that there is a scholar who is the director of the Material Bureau. The price increase is really outrageous. The authorities asked him to question him. He mumbled and explained that there was nothing he could do. The authorities were furious and said, "You are trying to argue." Because he did not understand the dialect, he mistakenly thought he was going to be shot. He knelt on the ground with a plop. He has an 80-year-old mother at home. I couldn't help laughing. Kamathir is a bamboo grove behind the guest room. There is a rustling sound when the wind blows. It is suspected to be a ghost, so everyone tells ghost stories again. Pan Zimai said that once there were several people together. One of them suddenly had a golden face. Others asked him what happened. He then said that he saw a ghost. Then he asked what a ghost looks like. He hesitated to speak. After a long while, he covered his face with his head and answered that it was a white face. There was no ears, eyes, mouth, or tongue. There was only a small braid hanging in the middle. Mrs. Zhou was scared. Lu Sichin persuaded the couple to go to bed first. The three of us, we sat and talked about all sorts of things. We were tired of talking, but no one was too embarrassed to take off clothes and sleep in front of each other. After a long time, Pan Zimai said to me that we couldn't care about these things in class. Let's go out for now. Please, just sleep. Lu Sichin also knew what she meant. They walked through the bamboo grove to the toilet together. I also wanted to pee. I knew I couldn't go to bed for now. I waited until they came back before moving out. A bamboo leaf fell on the way. I was scared. I wanted to go in, but didn't dare to, and I couldn't retreat. I finally finished and went back to the room. They were already taking off their clothes. I stood silently, in front of the bed. I couldn't come up with a good idea. After a while, Pan Zimai jumped out of bed and turned off the light for me. Then I fell asleep. The darkness swallowed everything. We talked about everything. Life may be troublesome, but our hearts were empty. We forgot about our careers and our home in Shanghai. In the ever-changing world, it seemed that only our friendship would last forever. The spring of Moling was lush. We are all modern people. We can't stay here for long and have fun. We had to come back in a big way. Like a yellow oriole giving a good dream. It's hard to find your trace. Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.